chat shit about stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, maybe introduce yourself. That might be an idea. That's a good start, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, what, me?
Yeah.
Let's go. Hi, I'm James, and I
Hello.
am Rainy Seasons,
You are
I
rainy
think.
seasons.
Yeah. It's hard because when people talk to me about this and when they're like, oh, because obviously I'm working with the band Such Better Days at the moment, who are
hmm
lovely boys. And obviously when I explain at the shows I'm not actually their vocalist, I'm just a fill-in, they're like, oh, so what band are you in? And I'm like, well, it's not a
It is a
band,
band,
but I
but
guess
it's
you would
not.
call it a band if you didn't know it wasn't a band. So I'm just sort of like, yeah, I'm in Rainy Seasons, but I
Yes,
am Rainy
you
Seasons.
are the
There's no
rainy
one else in
seasons.
Rainy Seasons but me.
That's like with me because my artist name is Timington, and that seems to confuse people. It's like people have artist names, It's like
Yeah, Prince,
Prince.
Madonna.
Yeah, it's not their real names, and it used to be my gamer tag, and it sort of just carried on. It's like I might as well use it.
Yeah, I did release one under like my old gamer tag and like
Mm.
my IG name, which obviously is Swifty Baps, and
Yeah,
I obviously have released a record under that, but it was so different to what I'm doing now. I was
yeah,
like, well, let's start up a new name, and the name Rainy Seasons has been like a potential project name for probably over 10 years now.
yeah.
I've always been like, yeah, if I was to start a band up from the ground, I'd probably want to call it Rainy Seasons.
Yeah. I've just embraced the just whatever I'm doing under Timington is just
It's a cool name though, and I think
yeah.
it's definitely allowed you to branch into any direction you'd like, which is always lovely.
Yes,
Right, I'm
yes.
just taking off my shoes.
No worries.
Dread not being comfortable during this. There we go. We're off.
We're good. We're comfy. We're
We're comfy. Hair's looking awful today, but that's fine.
yeah, mine's just yeah.
Yeah, it's all just at the back at the moment, all just flaring up from last night. Um, but yeah, that's my introduction.
That's you. I mean, I am Timington. I also do music. I produce my own stuff and whatever comes to mind at the time. Really,
Mm.
it's, which is it's an interesting journey and an interesting thing to do. Just roll
Yeah,
with
I've never been
whatever.
a production hound.
Hmm.
I wish I was. There's parts of me that really wish I was, because I think I would have such an easier time with everything. But um, I don't have the patience for it. I think is really what it is. I think it's unfortunately I think a lot of artists do need to have some form of how it works, like
Yeah.
particularly with like
Yeah,
recording
yeah,
and just getting a basic understanding of how everything works. And I've got that, but like yeah, like this is why I leave jobs like this to like my buddy Mike and Caleb and all those amazing people that
yeah,
have got the
yeah,
patience to just sit there and go,
yeah.
I'm going to make this sound really good.
Yeah, I hadn't really ever thought of it till a few years ago. And I was just getting frustrated while the things I was recording wasn't sounding the way I wanted it
Yeah.
to. And then I was sort of plodding around, and then sort of someone suggested, well, why don't you look into a course about doing it? How it
Mm.
works and stuff. And yeah, I went down to Waterbear, studied there for a couple of years, and it's like just unlocked my brain. It's like, oh shit, you
Yeah.
know.
I did when I was at college, when I was studying at college, we did a bit on music production. I think
Mm,
that's helped me a lot to understand these things because obviously when I first ventured into music, as a teenager,
yeah,
the resources that were coming onto online and you
yeah,
were getting obviously because obviously everything now is you can just get available drop of the hat, but it was
yeah,
still very much in its infancy and you were
yeah.
at the mercy of um like the over explanation era.
Oh yeah,
Like where people were just putting out videos being like, "Hey guys, I know this is a beginner's course to
yeah.
mixing guitars and stuff."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like,
It's
okay,
like
cool.
okay,
And
yeah,
then you just get buried under all these different terminologies and these different statements
yes,
instead of
yeah.
just going, "Yeah, open up an EQ and turn this a bit and then
Yeah,
turn that a bit until it
till,
sounds cool."
till you're happy with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But college was really good for that. I say, but
Mhm.
there was the music tech course, which was the several ones. That was for the people that wanted to do the big deep dive. But we were just
yeah.
given that basic understanding of like
Just
how
so you know.
studios work and
Yeah,
how doing it all online or like sorry, doing it all in a DAW and
yeah.
shit. And yeah, just
Oh, that just
learning is good,
it
basically.
is and very handy. And I think without
Mm.
going somewhere, I'll just like as you said, there's loads of things online, but without going somewhere, I would just not watched it. Really, it's just,
This is it. I think that definitely comes down to what kind of learner you are.
yeah,
And, because people don't talk about that enough anymore. I think
yeah.
if you're talking about guitar, particularly, I don't know, you yourself play guitar, and obviously I'm
Yeah.
myself play guitar. Very much feel like these days people are very much turning into well, if you can't just learn by ear, then you're just not any good. And I'm just sort of like, well, no, it's just people just learn different. Like, yeah, some
Yeah.
people can just sit there and listen to a record and go, okay, well, I know how to play this now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whereas,
I can't do
I'm
that.
very much I need something visual to show me what I'm doing. I can watch a
Yeah.
video of a guy playing it and go, okay, yep, now I know how to play it.
Mm.
And I can read tab and obviously, and I can obviously just like listen by ear and learn by ear as well, but it's not my favorite way to do it.
It's not how you do it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will still use online stuff for, like, if I'm stuck on something, it's like, oh, shit, I don't know how to do this. Let's, dig in. And
Yeah.
I think my favourite, I can't remember how I got it, but I watched, like, a Devon Townsend tutorial on how he mixes, and it was 8 hours long. that was just like... It's like, yeah, I can see why you're good if you're spending that long on it. Yeah, it's just...
That's chump hours, I think, as well.
Well, yeah, that was just him talking about how he did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember. I think it was Nolly from Periphery dropped that big. I think it was that big 2-hour session, and people lost their minds over that
Yeah,
because his production work is just flawless.
You think you try and take it in, and it's like, yeah, I've got 10 minutes in. I'm gonna have to like just
Yeah,
take a minute.
get out the blanket. You're gonna be here a while.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm trying to think if I've mixed officially in terms of things that are out there in the universe. I've mixed one thing, and that was my EP as Swifty Bass, which was Imagine Pleasant Nonsense, because I was like, I'll give it a go. I'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And in fairness to myself, I'll always give myself credit. It didn't come out too bad. It's actually a very cleanly produced record, as many people said. They said it sounds very clean, and I was like, that's fine by me.
Sweet. Yeah.
You can hear everything. That was
Yeah.
my only goal.
Yeah. You can hear all the things. It doesn't sound like shit, That's...
Yeah. Because I have released some utter garbage. Not stuff that I've mixed myself personally, but like as a band, it's been like, when you you like Phantom Menace effect yourself, or you're convincing yourself that what you just saw was good, or like that's what they tell me. I think the Phantom Menace is a great film, but it is just that when you do that with music, when you get like the final mix back, and you're like, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And then like a year later, you go back and it's like, oh, what was I thinking?
Oh yeah, no, this was never. This was. Why did I ever tell him this was good?
Yeah.
This was bad.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a British pleasantry. So I think that is.
You don't want to upset someone. It's like, yeah, it's fine, and to your ears, you're like, because you're like, you just did it and you're emotionally attached with it. It's like, oh, it's,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's part. I recently redid one of my old band songs, Wonderland, and it was like I was going back to it, and I just wasn't happy with it. It's like, no, I need to redo this just for my own sanity.
Yeah.
just because there was one bit I miscued the start of the guitar intro, the solo, sorry, and it just bugged me forever. Just like, I need to nail this. I need to nail it.
Absolutely. Sorry, 2 seconds. Yeah, no, it is just that. It's close that down now. I don't need that. Yeah, I think there's definitely a thing of like when you make stuff, particularly music, and I guess it happens with everything as well. I know a lot of artists that are the same. A lot of like people who have made like films and stuff, like that first one you make and you're like, yeah, this is great, and as you say, you go back to it a month later and you're like, was this ever good?
Yeah.
Or did I just convince myself that it was good?
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that on all parties. I'm a big. I obviously remember. I look back to. We're gonna get into a lot of deep diving for like, obviously the old stuff that I think you and I have done, because obviously you and I have both been in the scene for a very long time. Was it Small Town Silence?
That's the one.
Yeah, I remember seeing you guys like way over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like when I first started playing shows and being like, there's this band. called Small Town Silencer in the area. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
We were very drunk all the time.
Yes. I remember. I think our vocalist was always very adamant about that, being like, "Yeah, I'm drunk. It is what it is."
We all were, to be fair, and it wasn't a great look, but we didn't really know how to cope with being on stage, and all that. You realize.
I mean, it's just like back then, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think one of the cool things that I think a lot of people have got to experience is how different music scenes have changed over the last 10 years, and what is sort of more so deemed. And I say acceptable as if there's laws and rules, and there isn't.
Yeah.
But like it is that. It's like you've gone from like, when I first started gigging at like just before my 18th birthday, and most people would just play shows pissed out their mind, would just be really rowdy, would get up in people's faces and stuff like that. And then you come to sort of 10 years later now, and it's sort of like, if you are not the utmost professional person, you're just going to look like a dickhead.
Yeah, I mean, people will allow you a few drinks, but beyond that,
but like,
I mean, Hammerdown, one of the bands, I won't say who, but he got a bit pissed out, right, because he started drinking at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and like by mid-afternoon he was just gone, and he was just causing hassle, and they just threw him out.
No good, man. No good.
It's just a bad look on his band and him and anything he's related to, and it's just
that guy's gonna look like a fool now, and that's gonna stick with you forever as well.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing is not forever anymore. I think with social media being the way that it is.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. I suppose back in the day when we were starting that band, it wasn't. We were still using MySpace to promote ourselves, and it's just
and I think
really
it's
connected
and it was also like, I say, social media hadn't become the Goliath that it is. It was already pretty big.
Yeah,
like, I remember obviously everyone had moved to using like MySpace and Facebook to promote all their bands and stuff like that. But like, not many people owned like a phone with a camera on it.
Yeah,
or at least one that was good enough for like gig photos and stuff like that. I've got old clips in my my secondary hard drive of like one of the first shows I ever played. It was at the General Henry's in Littlehampton when that was still open.
Oh god, yeah, I remember that place. Yeah,
but the camera that we used was so old, and obviously making video on it was like a secondary usage.
Yeah.
So it's an entire set, but it's broken up into 13-second clips. So one day I've got to go back in and take them all back together. But like, it is just like, you'll just get like 5 seconds of a riff and then like 7 seconds of the next bit. And then it would just, so there's so many little clips of it. But it was a good set from what it sounds like. But yeah, General Henry's, man.
Oh god, that is going back some. That was a place. It was a place that existed.
Wasn't it just? I was going to think, what I was going to say then. Yeah, but to say, to sort of bring out that whole thing, it's just like, the world is watching now, and it wasn't 10 years ago, but now it's literally, and stuff that we're seeing literally happening this week at the moment. Really horrible stuff. Not to make this a super like political stance thing, but like it is, like, it's honestly the stupidest thing, and it's like the amount of people that just don't realize, sort of like, you're on camera now forever.
You've been seen doing that.
Yeah,
people, future employers, whatever, might see that and like, you were, we saw you do that. We don't want you representing us, sort of.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I had a conversation with this about with someone in work the other. It was about the other month, and this was before all this was happening, and they were saying like, do you think it's right that companies can like scrutinize you for what you're like, for the stuff that you do online? And I'm like, I get the stance you're taking, because there are stuff that happens on the internet that I don't think warrants like criticism. Like, people just do stupid stuff and it goes on the internet. But there's a difference between just doing something that's a bit stupid and then actively stating things that are horrid and doing horrid things and then expecting that I've put it on the internet, but there won't be any repercussions to this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there will be.
Yeah,
that's the problem. As we say, everyone's watching.
Speaks to you as a person. If you're the sort of person to do it on the internet, you might do it to someone's face. And,
you're very likely to. Yeah. And again, but that goes back to music, as I say, is that you can, is that what you're putting out there, the kind of post you're putting out there, because you get it a lot on like Twitter and stuff like that. Like, people want to get engaged in like, and I see a lot of bands doing it, getting engaged in like rage baiting content, and I'm just sort of like, because they're like, it's a cool way, it's like a new way to like bring awareness to your band, and I'm like, but it's not, because everyone's just going to think your band's a fucking knob. I know for a fact that any band that I've ever seen get like caught up in heat for like controversy and stuff like that, I've never listened to a single note of that band. It's like, I remember. This is a bit of a slightly long one. So we all know the "What's Up, Denny's" thing, like the meme of like the band that played in the Denny's. And think it's for a show called the Denny's Grand Slam. Well, like I think it was last year. Blink 182 obviously did like their own version of it. They played a little show in a Denny's and stuff like that, and it was a bit of a fun. Like, hey, that's fun. And then the band that originally did it were online complaining that apparently Blink hadn't paid them out any money to do what they'd done. Bearing in mind, that obviously, that band hold no legal standing
Of playing
on
in a
Denny's.
restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't own Denny's. And they're like, and they had this big, and they got into this whole thing online, obviously, with like, rabid Blink fans and like, hardcore fans and stuff. And I think just the entire thing just goes back to, but you don't own Denny's. They could have just done that. Like, it's just a little nod to you. But like, at the end of the day, I didn't know what that band was called until they started like trying to call it out. So when they're saying that, but Blink could have called them out, and it was like, but no one knew who they were.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that video that entails who that is. But yeah,
it'd be like saying, nobody can play at the Royal Albert Hall because someone did that years ago. It's like, no, it's just a place.
God damn, Tennyson, you can't play at the Albert Royal. I've played there. That's like you're just pissing on my fire now.
Yeah, you
can't. That's so stupid.
You can't play Wembley or Glastonbury or because other people have done it first.
It's just a bit silly. We're talking a lot about music. And obviously, because that's the point of this, I think it'd be silly if we were sat here talking about vintage cars. But so obviously, I've just put out an EP. It's actually it will be 1 month tomorrow.
You did
since
indeed.
Since Pancakes and Flip Flops finally hit the world. It's not done too bad, I think, considering I've not had a lot of time to promote it since then, because I hit the classic bad luck streak afterwards. So obviously, literally straight after the EP came out, I was ill, and then I was busy. So I haven't had a lot of time to really promote it.
It's just the way it goes.
It's just the way the news goes.
Anyway, as well.
Anyway, yeah. We'll circle on to that. But yeah, so it's been about, so it'll be a month tomorrow. It's about just shy of 200 streams across multiple platforms. Obviously, I can't get the numbers for like Tidal and Deezer and stuff, but I've got the ones for Apple Music and Spotify, and that's just shy of 200. So I'm hoping I've cracked it somewhere. And that's really cool, considering the first record I released that came out on my own terms was only hit, I think, 35 streams of the entire year. But, it's one of the things. Obviously, you haven't released an EP in a while, though, because you're more of just a single.
Yeah,
I'm just going to slip this out.
Yeah, that just tends to be the way I've been rolling. It's just I just have ideas.
Not a bad way to roll, though. It seems to be the one that everyone sort of puts into. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine. He was talking about, we're working our way up towards an album because, like, and in his words, he was like, EPs are effectively just like the demo versions of the songs that are going to go on the album. And I was like, well, that's not inherently true, and especially not now. I definitely think like. Most artists will tell you that an album is actually like it's a financial gamble, effectively.
Yes.
Because we live in a world that say, technically speaking, the only way that many of like music moguls will tell you, or like these guys in like Instagram pages with like 10,000 followers, but only 100 people are interacting with it, is that you're the only way really to release music now is to release it as singles.
Yeah.
It's singles to get them into playlists so people hear them, and then you can work up towards it. And I'm like, that's just not. I think it has ruined the artistic nature of releasing compilations of songs. EPs and albums suffer because it's all about making, numbers, which I think is silly.
Yeah, I mean, one of my pieces was going to be a whole full like album concept thing, slices, but I sort of just got bored halfway through, and it's like I can't be bothered. It's just, which is why I released it as slices, the short version, because the idea was there was going to be a whole long version of it, and it was sort of like a concept album and broken down into that, and I just sort of haven't got around to it.
I do get that completely.
Don't care anymore.
Yeah, for me it was like, so obviously I did 5 songs on this EP, and I was like, yeah, cool. But there was a time that I was thinking about maybe, like I was just thinking about like, do I put more on this? And then I was like, no, you've done enough.
Yeah.
And plus, again, it comes back to financial reasons. It was like, I had obviously I worked with 2 great people during this, which was obviously my buddy Caleb, who obviously mixed and mastered the EP. I got to go back to Worthing and work with Mike.
Oh, he's a cool guy. Yeah.
Mike is the coolest, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to be working with him on my next single,
Nice.
which I'm very excited about. Can't tell you too much, but it'll be before the end of the year. But like honestly, yeah, because like we have such a great, I think, like relationship. Because I remember years ago when Ariando had first started out, and he approached the band being like, I'm down to make your first EP. And we were like, well, we've got no one else that's offering, so you're going to make it. And I remember going into that studio the first day, and he was like, oh, yeah, this is like the first metal album I've ever made. And I was like, oh, okay. Looking back on it, definite room for improvement on everybody's parts. It's particularly mine from a vocal stance. I definitely could have given that more than I did. But yeah, I think for a first time that guy had ever made a metal record, I think from a sonic perspective, I don't think he did too bad. I think it sounds really good. And I know that he's worked with a few metal bands since then, so maybe more some cool stuff from Mike. But yeah, I've completely forgotten what my original point is.
Actually,
sorry.
I'll have to look into see what he's produced recently. I haven't seen anything from him for a while, but
yeah, I know he does a lot of stuff with his band Perestroika and stuff, and I know that takes up a lot of his time. I know that. I'll tell you what he has been doing. He got commissioned to do some like acoustic, like calm covers for like I think he said it was for like a TV network. So just sort of like just like stuff that plays in the background, just a little bit of like nice strumming guitar and some nice vocals and stuff. It sounds really good actually.
Yeah. Cool.
I've got my hands in the way. Yeah, on the subject of just releasing stuff as well, I think it's cool that people are just putting stuff out however they feel they should. Again, singles are singles and they're cool. EPs are EPs and they're cool. And albums are also cool.
Yeah.
If you can make it, fucking make it.
Just do whatever you feel you need to. I think is the whatever you feel you can.
And just try not to, try not to be discouraged when it doesn't pull the numbers that you want to.
Yes, it's always hard. You just have to remember you're doing it for yourself. It's just
this is it. Yeah, you
hoping
have to.
Other people enjoy it as well.
It's literally just the core of it, isn't it? It's trying to keep up with the ever trends. But then, as I was reading an article a little while ago, so as you can say, I do a lot of just like reading. There's a lot of just scrolling on my phone. But one that I read was obviously it was a guy who he'd made an article about how there was a load of bands, I think it was the beginning of the year, who were booked to do like an arena tour. And they'd all had to cancel. I think it was about 3 or 4 bands had to cancel their arena tours because they just hadn't pulled any numbers. They just didn't they just hadn't sold any tickets. Yeah. And and industry experts were kind of tilting their head and questioning why they were even asked to play these shows in the first place, if this is the kind of thing. And the guy ended up just making the article just a very impassioned speech at the end where he was just saying it's like this is the problem with streaming, is that it's dictating how big an artist is.
Yes.
And it's just not the case. Yeah. He was saying these guys have like 10 million streams on like one song that went viral. It's like, that's not going to fill an arena tour.
No.
And he gave some great examples of other big bands and stuff like that being like, look, these guys have got like, he talked about people like Slipknot being like, they've got like 20 million listeners on like their thing. It's like, but
20 million people to a show.
Like those 20 million people are not coming to a gig. And a lot of them will, obviously, but because it's Slipknot. But even then, they're still not selling out all of their shows.
No.
And then it sort of comes into a dictation as well when we're talking about music and numbers. Is the big question about festival headliners for the upcoming years and and stuff like that. It's saying like
that's a discussion that goes around like every now and again. Is people discussing like, well, what happens when Metallica, Iron Maiden, the sort of big traditional headliners retire? Because I mean, recently Aerosmith have decided to retire, and it's like, well, they're getting older. There are a few up bands, a bit younger doing it, but have they got the fan base to do these things? And because it's all been sort of watered down through streaming, and there's easy access to everything. And
this is sort of a big thing that comes up every year because obviously I'm in like the Download Festival group, and I'm sure you are as well. And obviously the same conversation happens every year. They say, who do you guys want to see headline? And some guy will give a suggestion that I think is actually a very good suggestion. It's not a bad suggestion by any rights. And he'll just get hit with, no, they're not big enough. No, they don't sell out their tours. No, they're bad. You're bad. Bad. And I'm like, come on. Like, we've got to get up.
Give them a
The
go.
only
Give 'em
option
a chance.
that
yeah.
they have really, I think, download at this point is I think over the next, 2 to 5 years, I think you are going to start seeing them sort of size down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to their headliners, there's obviously people like Metallica. I think Metallica will probably call it quits within the next 10 years. They're very old, and that's okay because they're super. They're old, and that's fine. Like
Yeah.
I say, but like I mean, I was at their 2023 when Bring Me headlined.
Yeah.
And what a fucking show!
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I haven't been into Bring Me the Horizon since their third album. Really, I've always sort of like listened, but never been a huge fan. But man, one of the best headlining spots I've ever fucking seen. They were fucking phenomenal. And I think if you gave other bands the opportunity, they would do the same.
Well, that's
I know
it.
Parkway Drive's a big one.
You give a band of that size that opportunity, they're going to bring it because they're excited to play Download where all these other big bands, they're going to be.
And they're the headline, so they're going to pull out all the stops.
Yeah.
So say, a big one that always gets bit up is Parkway Drive when it comes to metal. And they're like, no, they're not big enough. And I'm like, but look at how they headlined Bloodstock. Look at how they're headlining like Whack and Open Air. And like, I think they did Rock and Ring as well. And it's like, they're always putting on like this insane show. And I'm like, why don't you want this?
Yeah.
Why are you denying yourself a good time?
Why? Yeah.
But
Bloodstock was Nightwish, and I was like, why aren't they headlining fucking Download? They seem to be
Nightwish are fucking huge.
Yeah.
And they're sick live as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that
Absolutely
Bloodstock show was fantastic. Fireworks and stage show, and it's just like crazy talented musicians. And it's just like,
it's literally that, yeah.
What's going on?
Absolutely. I feel, but I think the big thing is that like I think there are a lot of bands out there that are bigger than they're given credit for.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of artists out there that are smaller than they're given credit for.
Yeah.
And I think either one is fine. But I think people just need to understand that you can't just write people off because they're not big enough.
Yeah, they've only got so many views or whatever. It's just
you've just
fighting
got to
an algorithm. You're fighting,
Oh, it's an uphill battle, and and it's an uphill battle from the bottom to the top. I'd say I've been running around with the guys in Such Better Days for the last couple of weeks, and for the last couple of months actually, and I'll probably still be running around with them right up until next year when their new vocalist and everybody arrives. A very familiar face from so many people in the West Sussex scene. But yeah, it's just it's a struggle because you got to go to all these places, you've got to come back, and then you got to hope you're getting paid. And
yeah.
Because I remember saying that to the guys before. I said, like, you are going to find that a lot of promoters are just not that interested in handing you any money. Like, and it's not because they hate you specifically, but they're just like, they're trying to survive on top of you.
Yeah, they're trying to make money as well. And
at the end of the day, they're not inherently your friend. If you're friends with them, then that's different.
Yeah.
Because I was explaining how we're friends with people like Tim from Paralytic and Will. And it's like, and Steve in Brighton as well. I can't remember, is it Omega he's working for at the moment? But and those guys are cool, and they'll always look out for you because you're friends with them and stuff like that.
But not everyone.
A lot of promoters, obviously, they need to cover their ends first.
Yeah, I mean,
before you get paid.
Part of the reason I stopped doing the promoting because, as you know, we were doing the gigs down in Littlehampton, and the pub was paying us to put the gigs on there, and that was fine. Like each month, they would give us a bit of the same money they would give covers bands, so we could actually split that between the bands and ourselves, and we would make sure we give at least something to the bands, a reasonable amount to at least cover their petrol, or And the amount of bands that were surprised by this was shocking. It's like you're giving us 30 quid. It's like it's not a lot, So but then we had to stop doing there, and we tried down the Charles Dickens. And we had to do tickets, and we just couldn't pull the punters to make the money. It's like we want to pay the bands more than anything, just above making ourselves money. We just couldn't guarantee it for people, and it's like I know some bands will be all right with that. We just were like morally, we just didn't want to do it,
Yeah, it is a gamble. It doesn't matter how big a band is. It's always a gamble whether or not you're actually going to make that money back. And I think that's the worst part. It's like, but as you say, it's always really pleasant. Like it's such a sad thing that musicians are pleasantly surprised when they're given money for the job they've done. It is honestly even to this day I'm still staggered by it. I remember my first band, I think throughout our entire career, I think we gigged for about 2.5 years, and I think we got paid for maybe 3 shows. We actually paid to be on 2 shows as well. That's how young and naive we were.
Yeah.
But you're sold that line of like, oh, but all these big bands are going to be playing.
Exposure.
Those big bands aren't going to talk to you.
They don't give a shit. They really
That's
don't.
The thing.
They might say hello and good show, and that's about it.
It's not like a harsh thing. It's at the end of the day, if you're playing a show with a huge band, they're a touring band. Like they are doing this purely,
Yeah.
as a business sort of transaction. So unfortunately, they're not always gonna have time to talk to you or even have the energy to talk to you.
Yeah.
And it does suck. So it's always nice when you do hear that they do talk to bands and they want to be involved and stuff. But yeah,
Not everyone's
it's always
gonna be
rough.
like that, and, yeah.
But never pay to be on a show.
No. I mean,
That's dumb.
Going back to the old days, Small Town Silence. Yeah, Bar 42 was always great from that. I mean, he offered us like cash money or more in drinks. We always took the drinks because we're just like, we're just going to give you the cash back anyway. So let's cut out the middleman. But yeah, there are people like that will help you out. But yeah, there are people that will just trying to get a free show out of you, and it's
yeah,
great,
absolutely. And it sucks. It really does suck.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think the crash reality that I think a lot of us experienced growing up over the last 10
years.
years.
You have to like, kind of do it, and learn these things.
Yeah, it's a shame that being a musician is now in tantamount of you being a great business person.
Yes. Yeah,
it's all of that.
Your own business essentially, and be a social media.
Yeah, that's it. You're a business
salesman.
now. You're an industry of all of your own accord, and you have to work with other industries. I remember recently I was talking to a friend of mine from college, and we were talking about a guy who was on our college course, and he was just so fucking good at guitar, man. Like he was so like soulful. He wasn't like a super shredder or anything, but he just had so much soul and so much passion behind his playing. You could really hear it. Just such great like identification of sound and like understanding what notes are going to work and what aren't. And he just sort of disappeared into the wind after we went to college and stuff, and he sort of fell down the thing. And they were like, "Yeah, it's a shame that he never did anything." It's like, but he was never the guy to be like, this is an industry and something. Like he's like, "No, I just love playing." And unfortunately, as much as we want to say, you can just be good at an instrument and be a good musician, and that's enough. It's just not enough anymore.
No,
and that's the part that I think has broken. I think a lot of people's hearts. Really.
Yes. I'm gonna have to pause and start this again because it's giving me a warning because apparently we can only do so much time.
We're back.
God damn, I didn't realise there was a time limit on the free version.
Yeah, it is the sad part of it. Hang on, let me just refit this to the screen. It's going to look weird now.
That's how they make their money.
Fit to screen. Yeah. That looks
full.
Or should I? Yeah, that'll be fine.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm looking good on my end.
Cool.
Which is always good. Yeah, we've shot the breeze a bit.
Yes.
Talked about just the in and outs and stuff, and just effectively casual conversation. My whole thing has just gone weird. Hang on, let me fix that. Fit to screen. There we go. That looks better. I thought it looked a bit off. Right, but we're good now.
Cool.
Yeah. So again, we shot the breeze a bit. But let's get to the meat and bones about why we're here. Let's talk about our releases and stuff that we get up to.
Yes.
Big one, obviously, is how it comes about and how it records and stuff. Because obviously, if you told, I think, any musician 20 years ago, at the very least, that you could make effectively anything.
Yeah, anything you like.
Literally anything you like at home.
Whatever you want.
For less than 500 quid for the most part.
Yeah.
I think most of them would call you mental.
Yes. If you want, you could have a reasonably sounding good orchestra, a whole one,
yeah,
a couple $100, and you're pressing buttons. If you know how orchestras work, you can figure it out.
Yeah. I've got I think it's Spitfire Audio released the BBC orchestra.
Yes, I have that. Yes,
the free. Yeah, I've got that's a
fantastic.
Great bit of kit.
Yes.
But yeah, like it's the amount of stuff that's free out there now. And the amount of stuff how cheap everything is becoming and stuff. Because, I think a lot of people talk about, particularly in the guitar industry, that it's all becoming quite expensive. And I'm like, but if you actually look, a lot of it is the quality of stuff is coming up while the price is staying down.
Yeah.
I've got a guitar on my rack by a company called Solo King. And it's like a HSS Strat. And it's a beautiful thing. And it cost me 300 quid. But it came with locking tuners, came with stainless steel frets, aftermarket bridge, aftermarket pickups.
Yeah,
like it's got a roasted maple neck and fingerboard, which again only a couple of years ago only came on exclusively expensive guitars. But that's just it. It's so easy to make music now.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's your inspiration there. That's your little quote bit. We'll cut that bit at the very least and just say like, if you've got 200 quid, you could probably make like a 4-track EP.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah. No. I mean, because Reaper give you a free trial.
I mean, Reaper is just free at this point.
I mean, it is basically you can pay them, and you should.
I will eventually pay them. I think I owe them that at the very least. I've used them exclusively for years.
Yeah, I have actually done that recently. I thought I'm going to actually give them money for this. Cause...
I'm going to do it for my birthday. I think I'm going to bring some money out.
I mean, it's £60 for a whole DAW that does everything every other DAW does, and they charge you 3 times that.
Yeah, I think the only thing that people have always asked me, they're like, "Oh, what does Reaper not have?" And I said, look, it doesn't come with like an instrument library, like say something like Logic does.
Yeah.
But as we've just clearly stated,
you can just get ones.
Dude, you can get the free ones. The amount of stuff that I've got that's completely free, like saxophone plugins and like orchestra plugins and piano plugins and all this stuff. And sure, not all of them are big hitters.
Yeah.
But if you're smart, you can make it work.
Bang a load of reverb on it.
Just bang a load of reverb on it. Put the EQ on it a bit, you'll be fine.
Bury it in the mix, you know.
So I'm assuming you do everything in house.
Yes, I do everything here at my computer. Unless if I'm working with a vocalist, most of the time they do theirs, record it there wherever they are for me, and just send me it over, and then I'll just mix here at my computer. Nice and easy. And my all my guitars I do with virtual amps.
Nice.
The Bias Effects ones I use. I brought a package on some deal years ago and just layer them up. Do that. And for my last release, Glorious Case, I got what I would say is a fantastic guitar tone on that. So I was very happy with that. Name's gone. Oh, Mick Gordon, who did the Doom soundtrack.
The guy who did the Doom soundtrack.
He's got a tutorial on YouTube where he did somewhere talking about how he got his guitar sounds and using synths to back them up, basically putting them through like this complicated web of guitar pedals. Like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Just put a synth note below it and sort of gives this whole cool texture to it. And it's like,
a lot of bands are doing that now.
Yes.
Yeah, because as much as we'd love to, I definitely think there's this notion of like people think that musicians don't want to go to a studio and record, and they're like, no, they do.
We do.
It's just obviously that's just very expensive.
Yes, and hard to achieve to get a decent sound as well.
Well, this is it. Yeah, it's all very much on what you know and who you're working with, and do you have the knowledge and do they have the knowledge?
Yeah, do they have decent microphones? Do they have a decent amp?
Let's say, because while you've got some business standards like the Shure series and some Sennheisers and stuff like that, and some SEs. Like again, and you can have all this stuff, but if you don't know what you're doing with it, it's gonna come back for you.
Yeah.
But obviously, people have said like look how easy it is if I record at home, like particularly guitar work.
Yeah.
Again, as you said, using virtual plugins, and if it's not Bias, it's Neural, and if it's not Neural, it's something else. And it is just like because I can go, I can just send this DI straight in, and I can just make it sound like whatever I want.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about if there's too much gain, if there's too little gain, if that version had too much reverb on it, if there was it's not because it's a classic case. If there's too little, you can always add.
Yeah.
If there's too much, you've got to do it again.
Yeah. And I will say there is definitely a difference between doing it that way and with an amp. You can, there's just something about it you can tell, and it is a bit more sort of lively, I guess, is the best way I can do it with an actual amp and stuff like that. But if it's what you got and you need to get it done and you can't afford it,
that's it. Yeah, again, a lot of people aren't living in environments where you can do that. I remember in my first band, we were playing at our friend's house to rehearse and stuff, and he had a big house. So we could get away with like miking up our amps and stuff to make demos and shit. So I live in a tiny flat now in the city, and I don't have that luxury. Oh, there you go. I've still got my 212. I mean, I'm selling that on soon because I don't need it anymore. But like, I would have loved to have used that in the studio. I'm using a similar setup for you for all my guitar work and bass work, which is I'm using the Line 6 Helix. I'm just running that into my interface to get all my tones. I know. So working with Caleb recently, I got a new. He introduced a new process to me. Obviously, which was obviously so when I'm recording, I'm doing 3 versions
Yeah.
at once, which is so I've got the guitar with all the tone on it, everything I want, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Then it will be a version without was it? It's without the cab.
Yeah.
It'll be like, is whatever cab sim you're using, cab sim or IR, just turn that off.
Yeah.
That
Just a
one.
dry
I was
one.
like, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that. And then on the other one, it's just obviously the flat DI, and that gave us so many options to use.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Which was really really cool.
Yeah,
And
and
again, you can get free.
Yeah, that's a mad thing. Like these days, you can just have as many versions as you want. Just, I mean, my latest track had like 160 tracks on it and something like that. And
Goddamn.
yeah,
Goddamn.
it was a nightmare, to be honest. I looked at it, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I mean, some of those were little like sound design, just like blips and whatever.
Yeah. Well, those are great ones though. Those are it's
Yeah.
really cool. I'm definitely as I'm sort of getting a bit older, I'm starting to experiment a bit more because I have for a very long time just been, and still somewhat believe in the process of like if you can't make it sound good with just like the core instruments, so if it doesn't sound any good, without all of this backing, it's like was it really any good to begin with? But as time's going on, I'm experimenting more with like synth work and just adding in little effects here and there and stuff, and that's been really really cool. And I've really enjoyed writing in a new style instead of just doing my usual of just I'll just pick up a guitar and play some notes and hope for the best.
It'd be cool actually to go back to a simple like try and just use 8 tracks or something like that. Just can you imagine telling the Beatles that, oh yeah, you can use 160 tracks?
Yeah.
They were like, what do we even do with all that?
What about the tape deck, mate?
What about the tape?
There won't be a tape anymore,
No,
mate. It'll just be a little animation that they put on the effect plugin because that just makes it a bit more charming.
Feel happy.
Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah, it is mad. It's generally crazy to say, and it's crazy how that jump has come in the last 10 years. Like when I first started gigging, like all this stuff was still relatively new. Like like stuff like the Helix and stuff like the Axe Effects was out at this point.
Yeah.
But this was the first one, and people have said that the first one was great. That's why so many people gravitated towards it, but it was still very much in its infancy.
Yeah.
I mean, again, nowadays, sometimes I hear something and I'm genuinely staggered that it wasn't made in a studio.
The first Small Town Silence EP we did, it wasn't. I don't think there was. If there was any, we hadn't heard of any virtual instruments or anything like that. So we went to Ford Lane Studio and just recorded it. Recorded a basic track and then overdubbed it on top of that. This is good. This is a guitar tone. Does that sound good? I guess that'll do. We had no idea at the time. We were only like barely even 2 years being a band at that point, but we just wanted to record something.
Yeah. I only went to Ford Lane once.
I
had a great time there.
Yeah, it was a great place.
Yeah, we actually made probably the best sounding thing that my old band had ever made from like a sonic perspective. And that's just buried on someone's hard drive now. We never released it because I think we broke up like 2 months later because we were like, we're kind of done with this now. But yeah, so your latest song was Glorified Chaos, wasn't it?
Glorious Chaos, yes.
Glorious Chaos, not Glorified Chaos.
Glorified.
Take us through that. Take us through like its subject matter, your recording process.
So for a long time, I wanted to do something doom metal. I just love doom metal, the old Sabbath stuff, and more locally King Goat. I can love those guys. It was just fantastic stuff, and always inspired by that. Just slow, really heavy stuff. Didn't really know what to do with it, and then I'm gonna have to look the band up.
It's not Sleep, is it?
No. Give me a moment. Avantarium? Yes, Avantarium.
Oh, okay.
They do sort of doom metal, but they have like acoustic bits in the sort of in the middle and flow between them, and sort of like shit, I want to do something like that. And that sort of started it off, and as ideas come through, and then it's like I want to do something with like a positive message, but it's doom metal.
That's always cool.
Because why not? And so the idea of that came up, and I've the singer for this, Hannah Lewis. I've worked with her for ages. She used to be with Across the Sea. Great. She does classically trained operatic kind of stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she did that for this song, and I just gave her the prompt, like, I want this to be a positive message, sort of how terrifying the world is, but it's actually, it's a beautiful thing, like how there's traffic everywhere and there's people, and that can give you anxiety, but if you think about all these people like on their way doing stuff, and that coming together is actually kind of amazing. It's like how the world is just sort of working in a way. It's just
how it is, isn't it?
It's chaos, but it's amazing and glorious. Is the
it is. Yeah. It really is. Yeah.
And that was the whole point. And I gave her that prompt, and she came back with these amazing lyrics, and I said, yes, that is exactly what I wanted from this. So I did the tune, the doom metal bit, and I actually got someone from Fiverr to do like a jazzy guitar thing for me that I put in between, and yeah, she sung it with like a 12-layer operatic choir for me, and we switched between the doom metal and the jazzy stuff, and then there's a psychedelic bit in the middle, and it comes back round with a crazy chaotic guitar solo in the middle, and yeah, that's kind of about it really. And it's just a way of me trying to send a positive message out, really.
Well, it's good. It's a good thing to have. I definitely think. It sounds sick. Say, I have still needed to listen to it. I have not listened to a lot of music recently, and it's on my list. I'm going to do it as soon as we're done here. Yeah, but I think it's just a nice message, isn't it? It's like, because we're definitely, if there's one thing that humanity has definitely proven over the last couple of years, it's that it absolutely loves stewing in its misery.
Yes.
And growing up, people say, like, you're just going to see all doom and gloom on the telly, and you go, nah, it won't be like that. But it really is just like, I can't remember the last time I read anything positive in the news or anything like that.
Yeah.
But life is sick. Like, life is great.
Yeah.
And we need to reflect on that a bit more.
Yeah.
And, take that moment to just appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. That's the sort of thing I wanted to grasp. It's like, yes, it's terrifying. It's doom metal. It's chaos. It's oh shit, but
angry,
actually,
but
yeah, there is beautiful bits if you try to look at it.
Yeah. This is a slight side question. Have you ever heard of white metal?
White metal? No, I can't.
So I found out about this years ago, and I didn't believe it as well. So basically, it was like it's like a weird joke term for like there's like a brand of like black metal,
right?
That's all like Christian lyrics. So it's all about being in love with God and stuff like that. So it was just branded white metal instead. And some of it's actually really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big black metal fan, but like sometimes you hear around and you're like, oh, okay, this is actually really well made. Just things like that. And as we've covered, obviously, your whole recording process just in your house.
Just here,
just in your house.
Just in my house, yeah. Just layering it up and
just building on it,
and putting sound designs and grabbing that. That's quite a good fun process. It's like, it just sort of comes to me like, no, I want this sound here, and just got a clip from YouTube of Adam Savage like tooling something, like a bit of metal work, and just adding that and reverb and distorted sound.
Oh, nice.
And, just to make a bit of.
I've always been meaning to put some money into, like, even though you can do it on your phone, but getting like one of those little like portable recorder things and just going into like, city places and grabbing sounds and stuff. When I did my last live stream show, the intro has like loads of rain falling and stuff. And that was just me turning this microphone to my window and just cranking the fucking gain just so it would catch the sound of it. But then I also put my phone down as well to capture that and sort of like level them a bit, give it a bit more.
Oh, he's gone.
My speaker has your default speaker has changed to.
You kind of froze and then sped up and then.
I think it's just I need to change the cable on my on my interface. I think it's starting to go because I have to keep like every now and again I have to go back around and like push it up a bit. I'm hoping it's the cable and not the fucking actual interface, because I don't really want to pay for another one right now.
Oh no.
I'm sure. Stay there, baby.
So yeah, tell me about Pancakes and Flip Flops. What was that all about? What was your
Yeah. So
inspiration for that? And
so I approached this project last year. Say so technically speaking, Rainy Seasons. I mentioned this on my socials a little while ago. Is that Rainy Seasons has technically been a project for like over 10 years, and it's had so many different variants. I think originally it was going to be like a melodic hardcore thing, you know, because I'm a huge fan of Counterparts. Even though they don't brand themselves as that, that is what they're known for. Like it's just heavy as fuck, but it's all like miserable lyrics and stuff. And then it was going to be a pop punk project, but I was like, well, what can I do that's different?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, so I'll be like a technical pop punk band. So it was, and there are some demos buried in my hard drive somewhere of like songs with like all these like really fast paced riffs and all these kind of really technical movements and stuff. And I never did anything with it because back then it was like, oh, okay, so you just sort of go out there as a solo project, but then, you know, you got to encourage people to work with you. And then you've just become a band again. And it's like, what was the point of me ever doing a solo thing?
Yeah.
But anyway, but I approached this last year because I wanted to do something a bit different. Obviously, I was in the band Gloomweaver, and I was having a good time, but I was definitely becoming I was definitely getting over being in a band. I think it's sort of like, you know, as I was careening towards my 29th birthday, and I was sort of like, you know, I had to have the big sit down myself and just go like, look, yeah. It hasn't really worked out. You've given this a good 12 years of your life, and I sort of looked at sort of like what I was doing at the time, and I was saying like, you know, I don't see my fiance like ever. You know, I'm always away at shows or at rehearsals. I was traveling 3 hours every Monday, so an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back to Worthing to rehearse for 2 hours. I just realized that I wasn't happy, and I'd spent more time complaining about it than I had actually enjoying it. It's one of those things that when you're there, you're enjoying it. And sort of like
but if you sit down about it, it's like, oh yeah. Actually.
And again, I was sort of these things about all these projects that I'd started because originally, Rainy Seasons, that EP, I was going to make all on stream because also I was doing Twitch stream a lot at the time. I was streaming, I think, 3 times a week. So I wanted to do something a bit different because I was trying to pull away from doing like the games that I was playing, and I do still stream at this point, but I just don't have a regular schedule at the moment. It's mainly because I'm changing jobs, so I'm waiting to see how I feel about that and then going back to it. But I do miss it. It's really fun. So I wrote the first, and then I thought to myself, okay, well, why don't I do a show? Why don't I do like a show online? I was very inspired initially by all of the people that were obviously in lockdown and had gone, oh, well, we can't play shows for people at venues, so let's do something online. I was involved in one of them, not as a performer, but helping to promote it and stuff. I was working for a magazine called Invicta, and they were helping to put one on with TechFest. So that was cool to see. It was cool to those see. And then obviously that took a step forward when it actually became an actual live streamed experience. Because originally, obviously, it was just recorded media put together as like a show. And then it became, I know the band Voyager did one. That was great. I know Code Orange did one. That was very successful. I think a few people did it as well. But it was very cool to see. And I was like, well, why don't I just do something like that? Because I can make drums. I can record bass. I can record guitar, and I can obviously have just my vocals be live and my guitar be live. And obviously, again, technology moving forward, you know, I can literally stream my DAW onto the internet and people can hear it. And so I did that first show again, which will be, I think it was on the 31st of August. So we're coming up to the 1 year anniversary. So I saw the 1 year anniversary of the demo I made. And then I was just like, oh, I actually really enjoyed this. This was really fun.
Yeah.
I think I want to keep doing this. So and at this point, I'd already made the decision I was leaving Gloomweaver, not for like malicious reasons or anything like that. They're all so amazing, and I cannot wait to see what they do next. Like I was talking to Josh recently, and like I just love that guy so much, and just he was saying like it's all sounding really good, and I'm really excited for them to get back out there and gig. But anyway, about the EP, just to give that long story bit. I just wanted an EP that I think felt really honest. So everything we've just sort of spoken about and how I was feeling about stuff, I think I wanted that EP to reflect with some additional content because, you know, it couldn't all be about me. You know, it could, you know, I know it's my project, but, you know, that's just vain. So I was inspired as well by stories that people have told me about their lives and sort of the interactions I've had with other people. So, you know, that's how you end up with songs like My Brother-in-Law Put Chris in His Mouth, Put Chris in His Milk, and I Don't Know Why, which is based on a true story about a true guy that I know, obviously, who is just an out-and-out I think loser is, I think, the only word you can use here. Just not really doing anything with his life, but still acting like he's got it all figured out. And it's something that I felt very passionate about. And then you have Pancakes and Flip Flops on the end, which was inspired by a friend of mine's mum. She's got a mum who's apparently very lovely, but can go off the deep end a little bit. And does this thing where she'll just be like, "Oh no, I'm leaving, I'm going. You're never gonna see me again, and I'm going." The classic shit. Yeah. And apparently one day, her sisters brought her home. Like, no, come on, come back to the house. And they pulled her suitcase in that she's taken. And I'm like, what the fuck is even in it? What did she pack? And just opened it up, and there was just a 6-pack of pancakes from like Sainsbury's and her fucking holiday flip flops. And I told my friend then and there, I said, I will name an EP that.
I'm just calling it that. That's it. Yeah.
So we got that in. And then kind of like the other three, so like the opening song and then Just a Stranger and How the Story Ends, was effectively, again, me just being honest with myself and just sort of talking about things that I feel honest about. Because, I've been a vocalist before.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you may remember, in Ariandel.
Yes.
And we were writing stuff that I think was really great. But I think there was like an intentional vagueness to a lot of what we did to allow people to sort of put their interpretation on it and say, okay, well, this is how we feel about this. Yeah. Rather than trying to do anything that was truly personal. We did songs like My Loma, and that was very personal, but like I never really went full dive. And I went on this one, I went, right, okay, this is just full dive. We're just going to make this about what I think it is. And, How the Story Ends is effectively that. It's me reflecting on the notion of like, I've spent so long doing this. It really, like, people know me as a musician. People know that I play guitar. They know that I sing and stuff like that because I've been doing it for so long. I've been doing it for probably, more than half my life now. And how effectively, like, in the nicest way I can say it, because, I'm never unappreciative of anything that I've ever gotten in this business, but it is effectively for nothing. I'm not, it was the idea that when I was a teenager, I thought, I'm going to be like a famous musician. I'm going to tour the world. I'm going to do this. And it just didn't happen. And, it doesn't happen for a lot of people, but, and I think it's okay to admit that to yourself that, it sucks. Like, sure. Everyone kind of knew it was going to happen this way, but why can't it still suck? And just about how, I went from sort of being this person that was so full of it and wanting all this amazing stuff to then just being like, well, I don't really have anything to show for it anymore. Yeah. But there's still a part of me that still wants this,
Yeah. And
I use the words retired quite a lot with this, which I think is crazy. It's true. I mean, I don't want to join another band, unless something I think comes along that really inspires me and says, okay, I really want to be a part of this. And it works as well, because I think the big problem with being friends with everyone in like West Sussex and Worthing and Brighton is that those are the people that invite me to projects. I'm like, but I don't live in these areas.
Yeah.
So I'd have to travel, and that's again, and then we just get into the circle because I love working with the guys in Such Better Days. Yeah. I went to school with two of them. Danny and Ryan were in my first ever band.
Yeah.
And I've got actually a demo of us playing, was it American Idiot for my GCSE music piece. It sounds awful. No shockers there.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, they're just too far because they offered me the job. They offered me the job as their vocalist, and I just had to say like I would love to do it, but I'm just too far out, man. And me and my fiance, we don't plan on sticking around in Southampton forever. We do want to move away. So yeah, effectively, So How the Story Ends was just about, again, me just sort of coming to grips with the fact that, I'm not where I want to be. I'm probably never going to be there, and that's okay.
It's all right. Yeah.
Because eventually I will get to tell someone how it all ended. And that's great. Also a little bit about my own mortality, because I think about dying way too much. It sort of is a bit of a problem, I think, these days. Like, it's just because, it's inevitable and it sucks, but it's going to happen. And all you can hope for is that you'll have a cool story to tell at the end.
Yeah.
And I definitely think I will, because while I've never toured the world, and I never toured actually, I would still like to tour. I think that's definitely something on my list. Again, I'll get to tell someone at some point how it all ends, and the amazing things I did get to do. Because shit didn't work out, but I did open for Decapitated. Yeah. I opened for Black Tongue on their first ever show outside of Hull. Like, I did all this cool stuff. I played with Tosca when obviously they were still on the up and up. I did all this cool stuff, and and again, I'll get to that. And then the first one was just a jokey one, which is just, are you going to finish that? Because it was just, again, the project itself was a reflection of that, of just like, this project I'd picked up and then just put down. And we've all done it. We're all musicians.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fun one, and I think I really like that one. And then sort of it just leaves Just a Stranger, which has weirdly, I think, become my most acclaimed piece of music ever. Because I've released music, and people have said, "Great job, buddy." Oh, that was really cool.
Well done.
On the post, yeah. Oh, nice one, guys. But never, I think, in my life have I ever had multiple people message me about the same song. But Just a Stranger is that song that everyone just keeps messaging about. And I mentioned this a while ago on a stream I did with Caleb and Nick, the guy who did the artwork, which is, sorry. I still haven't put this up yet. There you go.
Nice.
It's a very sick vinyl. Only one of 3. But yeah, but Just a Stranger was one that everyone just keeps. They were like, dude, this song is so fucking good.
I did have a listen through your EP, and I was going to say that song Just a Stranger is a really good track, man. It's
thank you,
man.
Well
done for that.
You're number 6 now.
I'm number 6. Yeah. Number 5, damn it.
Yeah, I remember Caleb saying, he was like, "Oh yes, because it's just so different from anything else you've ever done." He was like, there was no anger, there was no thing. Yeah, and I think subject matter, it's definitely the most vulnerable.
Yes,
with a lot of the beginning of it, just talking about it's not always easy growing up, and people want to, I don't think a lot of people when I was growing up had a very good depiction of what love looks like. I think it's a sad reality. I'm not here to dunk on anyone, or as I say in the song about I'm not blaming anybody for this. It just happens, doesn't it? We learn this as we grow up. Sometimes people just don't. It just doesn't work out. But it's tough when you're growing up because that's your reflection of it. But then obviously I met my fiance, and I cannot explain. I've attempted to explain multiple times just how in love I am with that woman. But words will never prevail. It is genuinely it's all I think about for the most part. And do I have my little moans about her and stuff like that? Yeah, sure.
That's just natural,
of course I do. It is just natural, isn't it? We live together and we have definitely different ways of living. But honestly, and that was just all I wanted that song to be. It's all I want all of my songs to be, really. It's just the tribute to her, because without her, I just don't think most of what I'd done would have been achievable. Because I'd say we've been a musician for a long time, and sometimes you date people who just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And that sucks, because when you're passionate about something and your partner doesn't care, it really affects you. Because then it makes it feel like nothing you're doing is worth your time. But Abby is one of these people that, she supports me till the end. I say she helped me record the EP, for fuck's sake. She was here in the room with me, helping me to track all the guitars and stuff. She did the little rain cloud logo that I have now, which I will use until the day I die, because I just love it so much. And it is just that. It's just I wanted at least this first EP definitely to have a song that it was just a complete tribute to her, and effectively just reflecting on the notion of I want to be better for you. Being better for me is cool. That's fine. I'll do that.
I'll do it.
Sorry, microphone. But I want it to be for you as well. It needs to be for you, because if it's just up to me, I won't do it. So yeah, but that's just the EP as a whole. It's a very honest look at where I am as a person right now. But I've got more stuff on the way as well, which is obviously just tackling some stuff, trying to be a bit more fun.
Yeah, that was going to be another question as well. We still got 8 minutes left on the free timer, so I think we can get it done.
Sorry, I went on a big thing.
No, it's all good, man. This is what we're here for. This sort of tangent rambling, talking about this shit. What are your plans going forwards that you can talk about? And
I can talk about anything you like. Okay, so I'll fuck it. I'll just blow the fucking can one open. So August 29th, so the last Thursday of this month.
Yep.
I'm coming back for another show. I did mention this on my last stream, because as I say, just for the quick context as well, all my live performances are online. You can watch them. They're sick. I still need to upload the last one back onto YouTube, but 29th of August at about 7:30, I'm going to be going live for the Big Summer Blowout. which is saying I've got a 23 song set list so far. So that's just going to be
Nice.
banging it out. That's not including obviously the request set that I do at the
Yeah.
end. So obviously in between all the acoustic stuff. Very, very excited. I've been working on the drums. They're almost done. I have got to do a couple of songs from scratch because I was very lucky to find just the MIDI drums online for most of them. Again, internet free, great.
Oh, it's so great for that.
It's so sick. I've cut so much time out.
I've produced a couple of synthwave covers. That's what I found. I just found the MIDI things and have just like gone in and
they're so sick.
Yeah.
My first 2 shows, I did all of the drums from scratch. So, and that was just so long and so tedious. And it's fun.
Yeah.
But like
it
again,
takes
when
a
you've
while.
got this many songs, you've got to like cut some time down. So I've got that. I'm going into the studio later this year. I haven't decided when. It'll either be late September or like early October or something like that. And I'm gonna go and record my next single, which will be out in December, hopefully. And then it will be another single after that in the later part, in the early part of 2025, hopefully in time for the later half of 2025, where I will be dropping the next EP. And I've already started to pull the people for that, because if there's one thing that I really want to keep doing is, and I can talk a little bit about that EP, which is obviously not to give huge spoilers about who's going to be on it, but I've always wanted to make EPs with my friends.
Yeah.
I want to, I've always believed that if you have guest artists on your stuff, it should be because they're your mates, not because like you've paid them to be there.
Yeah.
So the next EP, every single song is going to have like someone that I've really wanted to work with over the last couple of years, or just someone that I'm just really good friends with. And I said, this would be sick to do.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
And more shows, obviously. I'll fill those in. You'll get about 4 a year.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll try and keep an eye out for them, but as and when I can. But
Yeah, man. Like, please do. Please roll in.
Yeah. I do try to catch your streams when I can, but I'm usually at work, I think.
Yeah, it just happens, man. Like, it's the thing. Like, people always say it. They're like, I'd love to watch it, and I'm just sort of like, mate, it's okay if you just watch like the VODs on Twitch, or you go and watch it on YouTube. Like, I'm not bothered, as long as people are still happy to support me. Yeah, because people are busy. What about yourself? What's coming next?
Oh God, you know what? I don't know. I was working with some people to do some music for a video game. That seems to have
fucking hell,
ground.
nice.
Yeah. Sort of, it was a medieval kind of theme to it, so I downloaded a whole pack of like fucking mandolins and that kind of medieval stringy plinky plonky kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So worked a bit on that, but it's sort of ground to a halt because the coder is busy for a few months, so I don't know what's going on with that. But the music's there. I did my part.
Yeah.
So
yeah, fingers crossed that comes out soon.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be. So apart from that, I'm sort of deliberating ideas on what I'm doing at the moment. I'm thinking maybe revisiting one of the old Small Town Silence songs again, just redoing them because I enjoy doing those songs, but I just never feel we really got the most out of them. I mean, actually, the second EP we did, the white one, we did with Russell Plowman actually, and we were so proud of that. Yeah, for sure. And we sounded the best we ever sounded on that album for sure.
Yeah, he did Gloomweaver's first EP, Drive Back to the Waking World, and he also did Ariandel's last single, and both of those just sound fucking phenomenal.
But I think I might revisit one of those as an acoustic piece with a few people that I know. Just I haven't really got a plan for that yet. It's sort of just early days. I'm gonna try to work on promoting myself and all that kind of stuff, which was the whole idea of this talk, so we could sort of just talk. And get content. I fucking hate this.
Just listen to the fucking music. Like I remember being a teenager, you'd read one article with Slipknot, and then you wouldn't hear from them again for like fucking 8 months.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, cool, they're back then.
Yeah.
Like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Where's the intrigue now? Now it's like, oh, hey guys, today we're counting down my top 5 songs in my set list. I've only got 3 in there though.
Yeah. Actually, going back just quickly, a pet peeve of mine, as you were saying about the Instagrams, like these are 5 ways you need to promote your music and all that. Like, where's their music?
Ain't got any.
They tell everyone else to release music, but where's theirs?
When these people are like, I've had songs on playlists that have been played over 15 million times. It was like, how come I've just never? And I'm not saying this in like a why haven't I heard it? This is all like, why haven't I heard this before then?
Where
like, who are you?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you got other artists to do that, but have you done it yourself?
Yeah, like,
That's-
yeah, why aren't you doing it for yourself? Like, if
Yeah.
you've got all this tech, yeah, like, be selfish, bro. Put
Yeah.
something out.
Yeah, just to prove a point, you know.
Yeah,
But,
if nothing else, just to
Yeah.
prove a point. But yeah, there's definitely, yeah, I say it sucks, but content is king.
Content is king.
But it's cool, yeah. But yeah, new stuff coming from me, new stuff coming from you.
We'll keep plugging and just doing it because we want to.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you know,
If nobody listens to it, doesn't matter. No.
yeah, this is you know, again, big part of what I'm doing with Rainy Seasons is just to remind myself why I enjoyed making music in the first place, and I'm really enjoying the stuff that I'm writing when I get to write, because I don't have a lot of time at the moment. Because again, I'm just running around and getting ready for wedding stuff, because you know that's now in like 10
that's
months.
going to take a lot.
Fucking God,
Yeah.
that's scary. That's going to take a lot of my time. I've got a LARP thing at the end of next month. I'm going to Italy soon. Like, it's one of those
Life
things where
is
you're
busy.
like, right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to make some music, I'm going to record some stuff, and then suddenly life goes,
Yeah, but you
I
got
don't
to do
think
this,
you
this, this, this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
you're not doing anything. You're just going to keep doing this. But yeah, yeah. I mean, literally once it's over, I'm going to go back to fucking editing drums. So that's very exciting.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Cheers, man.
Well, thank you very much for this chat. It's been a pleasure, my friend. Or did we just stop again? It stopped right there. I don't know. I don't know. What just- I'll just say goodbye, I suppose. Yeah, thank you for coming on, I guess. It's not going to work. It's like 1 minute left. Or just wave.